And for more about the personal income tax draft amendment, we are now joined on the phone by Professor Cui Wei from China University of Political Science and Law. Good evening, Professor Cui.
Good evening.
Well, we know one issue getting a lot of attention is, of course, the raised tax threshold from 2,000 yuan to 3,000 yuan. Some people say this move could lessen the impact of the current inflation. Do you agree with that? What's your take on the assessment?
Oh, I think it should be obvious that a 50% increase in the exemption amount goes well beyond what is necessary for inflation adjustment. So it really goes beyond responding to economic development. Instead, what it does is to shrink the taxpayer population from 28% of urban working population to 12%. And that is quite unusual by international standards because in other countries, a much larger portion of the working population pays the personal income tax. So this is done more than in response to inflation.
So, in essence, less people will pay taxes.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of evidence suggesting that in China today, people who receive 3,000 yuan in wage payments a month are already among the better off portion of the urban population. And the urban population is wealthier than most of the Chinese population that is rural. So it's inaccurate to say that people who earn 3,000 yuan a month is the middle class. Instead, they are really the upper middle class.
And
so
also
this is a tax cut for people.
And also in the amendment, Professor Cui, the 15% and 14% brackets are abolished, while the 5% and 10% ranges are expanded. What is your reading of this proposed changes?
Oh, it mostly amounts to a tax cut for people, as you said, who receive 20,000 yuan a month or less, and I think that's pretty generous. One thing that reducing the number of brackets can do is to simplify the tax, but I think that is not necessary because what you're doing is to gauge the amount deductible from monthly wage payments, and in that situation, having 9 brackets is not a lot more complicated than having 7 brackets. So this is really just a tax reduction, as you said.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Cui, for your take on the tax reform.
Okay.